This is Sky Blues Extra.
Hello everybody, welcome to this week's edition of Sky Blues Extra Live. Of course, the Sky Blues have just had a 2-0 defeat away at Norwich at Carrow Road in the FA Cup third round today. Obviously a bitterly disappointing game, not only the result but the performance as well. Looking through people's reactions on Twitter. I'm joined by Ross today. Ross, how are you?
I'm all right. Yeah, I was better before kickoff.
Yeah.
I thought, well, yeah. How are you, Dino?
Yeah, all good. A little bit weird. Obviously, a 12 o'clock kickoff. I was like out of bed, then onto the team news, that kind of thing. So yeah, a little bit of a strange Saturday. We've got the rest of the day to mull it over, I suppose, and a bitterly disappointing day, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's disappointing because I don't know. Last week we were speaking, weren't we, during the watch along, and I think initially my thought was, I'm happy to sort of just play a completely weakened side. But then the closer you got to kick off, you're like, this is the FA Cup, and I love the FA Cup, and you want to. And then you see the team news, and you think, yeah, Robbins wants to get through to the fourth round, and so then you think, come on, then let's have a bit of this, and then of course, unfortunately. Well, we'll get into it, but you start off well, and you think this is, we're here today, and then suddenly it just fell apart in the space of a couple of minutes.
It did. Obviously, there are some major talking points from today, and we'll go through all those in due course, I suspect. Obviously, want to get your thoughts as well, Sky Blues Extra fans. What's your thoughts on today's performance? Of course, we'll look for a man of the match later on as well, and looking ahead to Sheffield Wednesday. But we'll start with, obviously, today's performance. And as you say, Ross, from the off, I thought we showed great intent. Biamu slashed at a bit of a chance, but O'Hare had a gilt-edge opportunity, didn't he? And you don't take your chances, you get punished.
Yeah, but really, up until they scored, I was like, they looked really sloppy. We were winning the ball back. We looked sharp. We were the first to the second balls, the third balls, and yeah, we had a couple of we had some really good openings. Didn't quite make the most of them, but then we did make a really clear chance, and I love O'Hare. We praised him so much last week. Mm-hmm. He does so much good work off the ball, but on the ball, it's so frustrating because he really could be in. I genuinely think he could be on about 8 or 9 goals this season. He's on two. He's on 2, isn't he?
Yeah.
Forest and QPR, and it's those sort of chances. He knows. I mean, I love O'Hare. I'm not going to be too critical on him, but that chance goes in. I think it's a completely different game. But it's just frustrating because it's frustrating because I don't think we get away with that. If Norwich have that same chance against us, they put it away.
Yeah, that's the difference between the two teams, isn't it? At the end of the day, that's
it. Absolutely, and we've said it in numerous games this season. That's the difference. It's not like we played a stronger Norwich side today than we did in the league.
Yeah, definitely.
Cantwell, all these other players, and then in the 75th minute or 70th minute they bring on Pukki and Buendia. I mean, and we're bringing on Eccles and Bapaga. No disrespect to them, but it just shows the sort of difference.
I suppose, like in stages in that game, we showed that we can be a good, decent opposition in this league for sure against a top side. Let's make no doubt about that. Norwich are probably the out and out best side in the Championship. I don't think many people will have too many arguments about that. But for periods during that game, I thought we showed really, really good intent, good play. But at the end of the day, it's creating the opportunities and finishing them off, isn't it?
Yeah, in both boxes, we weren't clinical, were we? I mean, defensively, it's probably our worst. But it's bizarre because, I don't know, after 2-0, I don't feel we defended too badly. But for those couple of moments, in those key moments, we were shocking, and then we just didn't take our chances, and that was the difference. The stats speak for themselves. We actually had far more opportunities than Norwich.
Yeah, we created 16 opportunities. Yeah,
and it wasn't like they were sort of all pot shots. There was a couple, long range, but there was ones Biamu could have had about 5.
Yeah, great keep. I mean, the keeper had an absolute worldie at times. He's their 4th choice goalkeeper as well. So
yeah,
Barden, but he created some outrageous saves, and they were probably. I mean, Biamu's 2 chances were probably the opportunities that we. If those don't go in, then it's not going to be our day.
Yeah, you're starting to think are you going to get? How are you going to get a better opportunity than that? O'Hare, then Biamu's chances. You're thinking you're going to do well to get more than those sort of key opportunities against Norwich. In any game.
Mm-hmm.
So to actually sort of look back and think, well, actually, we did. In spells, I thought we were poor, like very sloppy on the ball, lacking a bit of confidence. Like totally chalk and cheese to last week. But then when you actually look at it as a whole, and you think, well, O'Hare's chance. Biamu flashed one wide in the first half. He's had the 2 big saves in the second half. We've created 4 really gilt-edge opportunities. And a lot of teams will go to Norwich and not create anything.
Yeah.
It's just frustrating that I don't feel like they had to work hard for their goals at all. You know, and that's what's really frustrating. Like we don't get given an inch by the opposition. I feel like we have to work ever so hard to create an opportunity.
Yeah.
But then we just, I don't know, like no pressure on the ball. It's frustrating.
Yeah, the pressure thing is a big thing for me, because like you say there, we have to work 10 times harder than any other team to create something and to stop the opposition from creating. I mean, you look at Norwich today; they're both there. I mean, they played their front 3, and both their 2 players on either side of the lone striker were hustling. They were in your face. As soon as we had the ball, they were showing intent to get that ball back, and we weren't showing that same intent.
No, we were too passive. I feel the midfield. I think Sheaf, Shipley, even Hamer. I feel like they all just weren't. I mean, it's not good if you sort of think Hamer's not having his best game, then it's not looking good. Because normally he's head and shoulders above everybody. But I just felt we lacked a bit. We just lacked people wanting to really show for the ball, and I just felt like we were just a bit too passive.
For the first 3 minutes, I thought everyone was showing for the ball.
It was bizarre. It was
great intent, isn't it? As well, they've obviously had. Well, there's always been talk about will the fringe players get in a place in this game. It didn't obviously occur with Robbins going with pretty much a full strength side, but that showed the intent from the management team, and then the players showed that intent straight off the bat. But as soon as we conceded those goals, it was just game over, and you felt like Norwich took their foot off the gas completely at that point, and I felt like they probably would have had 2, 3, 4th gear to go into if they needed to.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the first goal was really really disappointing. I don't think any of the back 3, the 3 central defenders, covered themselves in glory in those moments at all.
No challenge. That's the big thing for me.
No challenge, but then no communication. I felt like they just looked half asleep. I thought Fads at times just looked a bit sloppy. I mean, I'm sure we'll get onto the goals, but no challenges, no pressure, no talking. And I just thought that's the one thing we're really good at, and we've become really good at, was dealing with situations, making it really hard for teams. So to concede 2 from open play in the space of 90 seconds was bitterly disappointing, And then you go at the other end, and we've got the ball sometimes, and there's one player in the box, and I'm thinking, and Biamu's surrounded by about 4 defenders. I just don't understand how we expect. We'd have to put in 100 crosses, and we might get a chance. 10 of them might actually get to him, and from that 10, what are the odds? It doesn't.
Well, we put 5 crosses in the box in the first 25 minutes, and Biamu was the only one in the box, for all 5 opportunities. And that's not good enough. You can't score from that.
And then also when the delivery isn't tip-top quality.
Yeah.
They're either being under-hit or they're over-hit, and you think, well, Norwich, they put that ball in the box, and there's people there's movement. That second goal, it was a good piece of movement by the guy. He sort of ran in front of Fads, but there's no talking. There was no communication from Hyam to say he's coming, or he didn't go with him, and you just think it was just sloppy. I feel like we were half asleep. It was almost like, I don't know, we sort of took our foot off the gas because it was like, they're not at the races today because we'd started so well, and then like you say, it's 2-0, and I agree. I feel like, let's say we'd got a goal back, I feel Norwich would have had a gear to step up.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. I mean, maybe 2 or 3, to be honest.
Yeah.
They're just a class above, and that's the type of opposition we're going to come up against. For the remainder of the season, we've got a really big month, obviously, coming up now with games against teams that we should be looking to pick up points against. But then after that, we're going to be playing the likes of Norwich again. All the teams fighting for promotion. Now, you mentioned the squad and the lineup. We'll get the lineup on screen now. Was you completely surprised with how Mark Robbins set the team up today?
Well, as I said, I sort of the nearer we got to kick off, the more sort of the stronger the team I wanted to see played. I was pleased to see Da Costa get a start. that I feel we all said last week during the watch along, we feel like this was the ideal game for Da Costa to get some minutes. I guess I maybe thought a couple of others would sort of have started, but no, I was quite happy with the look of this team. Biamu either led the line, didn't he, when he came on last week? Did ever so well, and we played that box formation, and it worked really well last week. And again, for a couple of minutes, it started and looked like we were going to carry on almost where we left off.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the big one missing here is Hilsner. Now,
oh mate,
he's not on the bench. Is it too much to say now that his Coventry career might be over before it's even begun?
I thought, we said it last week, he'd been on the bench a couple of times. I think it was Preston and then Millwall. And he didn't come on. And, we had said if it'd still been 2, if we'd made it 3-0, then maybe he'd have brought him on. And I really wanted, and I think we both did, we were hoping that he was on the bench because he was getting closer.
Yeah, not even on the bench today.
And he's not on the bench today. And it's like, and then it's revealed that Castaneer's actually been injured. And then Castaneer is coming in. And we know Castaneer's finished. And he's coming in and he's still ahead.
Yeah.
It really pains me, but I just can't see. I can't see how. Like, I thought this was the game. This is basically a free hit, really.
Yeah.
This is a game where you could play him. Even he's not even on the bench, mate. It wasn't like if he was on the bench and he came off for 30 minutes, you go, okay, he's got half an hour against a good Norwich side. He weren't even on the bench, and I'm thinking Eccles, he's been recalled on the bench.
Yeah.
Papaga, Castaneer back in,
yeah.
and you're just thinking, But no one asked the question. No one asked the question when he was on the bench. Does this mean he's getting closer? No one asks. I think he's finished. I do think he's finished. I don't see a way back. I don't know what you think, mate.
No, I totally agree. I just if he was on the bench today, then I would say, okay, yeah, maybe he's still on the cusp of being in the fold, but absolutely, I can't see any future. Another guy. I don't see a future, and I'm hearing stuff that Castaneer's got interest now from back home in the Netherlands. So I suspect he'll be gone as well. But if those two players do leave, that will free up some wages, and hopefully we can do something in the transfer window, because up top it's looking dire, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know Biamu played really well today, but Bakayoko came on and again offered pretty much nothing, and if you're relying on those two to keep you in the division, I think we're going to be in for a tough time.
Well, particularly if you have moments defensively like we did in a 2-minute spell of conceding 4 goals. I spoke off air. I said I felt like Biamu, look, another day he could have scored, and he'll probably be disappointed that he didn't get at least a goal today. So we weren't ruthless enough. But we went from ruthless to toothless. Baka comes on and just does nothing. And to me, so then that's why I want to give Biamu credit, because actually, whatever he's doing, if it's movement, he creates opportunities. Like there was the second good save in the second half, where I thought he might go for a bicycle kick. He brought it down. He did ever so well. He created the chance for himself. Couldn't finish it. Fine. Not ruthless enough. But then Baka comes on.
I think that's down to a good save, though, that opportunity. I think that was a really good save, yeah.
But it was one of those where I just thought it's never going to go in today.
Yeah.
But then he goes off. I was really surprised that he didn't want to go 2 up top.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just went from ruthless, sort of creating opportunities and not taking them, to then just being totally toothless. And I just thought, we're never going to get an opportunity. And then it was just poor decision making. I thought I was willing Papaga to shoot. He took 1 touch too many. I think if he shoots, I actually think he might have scored across the goal.
Is that when he had that one-on-one opportunity with the defender?
He just took 1 touch too many.
I think he went for the Megs, didn't he?
Yeah. But there was a couple of other moments. I thought it was just frustrating. I thought
just not at the races, really, was it?
Weren't at the races. I thought Da Costa grew into the game. Actually, I thought what, that was probably the biggest positive in terms of. I thought he actually, considering it's his first start, I thought he grew into the game, actually.
Yeah, I mean, he couldn't get much worse from that first half performance, let's be honest.
No.
We'll talk about Da Costa in a little bit later on. But we'll just go through some of the comments now that we've had from you guys. Nige is with us again. Good to have you with us, Nige. James showed a little bit of what he could bring in that second half. I think there was a incredible pass out. I mean, it took 3 players out of the game. It just cut them completely open. So he showed. And I was really surprised at how many touches he had. He had 24 touches being on the pitch. In comparison to someone like Jordan Shipley, I think he had 38 in the 74 minutes he was on. And Shipley's another name I want to bring up later on as well to have a conversation about. Daniel here, a few good individual performances. However, feel like we didn't play as a team today. I think you've got a good point there,
Yeah,
Dan.
very good point.
It just things didn't really click. So yeah, thanks for that, Mark and Vicky Smith are with us again. We fell asleep for both goals and paid the price. Positives, Biamu led the line well. Bapaga looked lively. He looks a decent prospect. And I suppose with Will Bapaga, we're not going to know what this kid's like unless he's thrown into the fold at some opportunities in the future.
Yeah, no, I've been calling for a while to bring him on, and I think, against Sheffield Wednesday, Castaneer came on, and we were saying, weren't we, like, why bring this guy on who's finished?
Yeah.
When you've got Bapaga, and look, there was he lost the ball a couple of times, but you know what? He sort of brings something different. I think he gets on the ball, and he sort of ran a couple of times, and he's young. What is he, 17, 18?
Yeah.
The more minutes he's thrown into the line. I thought the pitch was poor today as well.
I
thought it was really. It was like playing FIFA and bad gameplay. It was just like running through treacle.
Yeah,
I was like, why does everyone look knackered? I was like, Bapaga's come on and looks shattered. But no, I thought he needs to get given more minutes. I'd be a huge fan of bringing him on. He's an unknown quantity, a bit more direct.
Yeah. Sometimes the unknown is what's needed in this division to turn those 0-0s into a 1-0 towards the end of a game, and maybe he could be that X factor at some point.
I tell you, Dino, someone who had a poor game as well, and he's losing credit in the bank with me. Drisdale, the referee, that Cantwell, what's it? DaCosta was on the floor. That Drisdale, he is losing his credit in the bank. He's on thin ice with me now, Drysdale.
I thought Todd Cantwell looked a class above today. Everyone on the pitch, I thought he was superb. Some of the touches and passing, he just showed he's a level above the Championship. I'm very surprised he's still at Norwich, if I'm perfectly honest. And maybe this is the month he'll move on. Mark says here, not that bold with the cut, but happy for squad players to get time. But like we've said there, not many squad players got much time there today, other than the 17 minutes in the second half. The likes of Blaine Rowe has been talked about as a future right back in this team. Thompson at centre half. These are the type of squad players. Hillsner, Castaneer, squad players that are in and around the squad. Okay, they might not be good enough for the team, but they didn't get much of a look in there today.
No, exactly. There are players there. We have got some good young players who, as you said, we've already spoken about Hillsner, and you think of the players who are injured. Gibello, it was Norwich when Gibello came on, didn't it? Earlier in the season, played a couple of games, and he's injured again, and Jody Jones. You go back into the squad, and there is some quality there, which is obviously missing. And no more than the striking department. I feel like Dabo. I feel like today you see what Dabo brings. Do you know what I mean? Like his sort of fluidity on that right side, and it was an opportunity for Giles because of course McCallum couldn't play. I thought, it's one of them, isn't it? It's one of them. Just not quite good enough today.
It is, yeah. Let's get Glenn into the fold on SkyBluesExtra Live. Good afternoon, Glenn. Good to have you with us. You must be thoroughly disappointed in that today.
I think it's one of them. It's the way we lost. It's just I don't think we played that bad, but if you're going to play that stronger team, you've got to get a semblance of a decent result. And lose, we never really were in it, were we? And they were just, if Kenny McLean scores against you, you're in trouble because he's hardly terrific.
No.
But yeah, they just look flat. I don't know what they look like, a team who hadn't been at the training ground for a few days, had they? Because I think when they came back in training on Wednesday, they look wing rusty. I think it showed how much we missed Dabo and McCallum at wing backs. I thought the back three were pretty average. Wilson probably could have done better, possibly with the second goal, but I think it got deflected, didn't it?
Yeah. How much do you think it dents the confidence coming off a really good result against Millwall last week?
I think it depends. I think performance. I don't think we created enough chances against a decent Norwich team. And I know they had a few players rested, but that was by the goalkeeper. That's pretty much a team who's got most of them have got Premier League experience in that.
Yeah.
So I just think, yeah, Shipley, you're probably going to mention him later on. I think the game just bypassed him. I think it probably bypassed Da Costa a bit, but then I think you can't be too hard on him when he's not played that much football, and that's probably his first 90 minutes in any decent standard in a long time against, you said, probably arguably the best team in the Championship alongside Bournemouth. And so I think it's very harsh to judge him in that sort of scenario, and he does look like he's got something about him. I would say that.
Let's talk about Shipley now while you're here. Obviously a Cov kid, so he's got intent there of doing well for the shirt, but that's 18 games he's played this season, and I can only think of one performance, which was last week, where he was at the races. Today he had 11 touches by the 40th minute. That was 18 less than O'Hare, 25 fewer than anybody in the Norwich team. He just doesn't seem to be of this quality, does he? Of this standard, shall we say?
I think the problem is he's not. He lacks the consistency on it. He's very up and down. And to be fair, he was probably a lot. He probably has been the same over the last couple of years. I think when he's on song, he's very, very good. But there's been a lot of games this season where the games have passed him by, but there's games where it's probably passed O'Hare by. I think the thing with O'Hare and Hamer, even if they're having a bad game, they do put the effort in, whereas I think Shipley, I just think his body language isn't always great. I think somebody said that the BT commentator made a comment about him. I can't remember if he was having a go with somebody about it. I think he's very much confident. If he starts well, he's good, but if he gives the ball away, then he just overthinks and dwells on it. I think if he'd done what Da Costa had done, he'd have just basically Robbins would have had to haul him off at half time. I think the positive with Da Costa is he showed a bit of a strength of character, which I think maybe Shipley does lack a bit on it, unfortunately.
I think you make a good point, Glenn. I think Shipley's performances often come down to how he starts in a game. I think if the first couple of things he does is really good, then I think you can with Shipley, right? Oh, he's on it today, But if the first couple of things he does is giving the ball away or a really poor pass, it sort of sets the tone for him. I mean, I certainly do think he puts the effort in. I think maybe there's certain players it probably doesn't translate as much. I just think, I don't know. I just feel like he's better on the ball when we're controlling games. You think last season where he wasn't having to have the ball that much. We were having it with Kelly and Walsh and getting it to the wing-backs, and he had that free. Whereas the problem is when we're playing these better teams, I feel like it does feel like it bypasses him a little bit in the middle.
I don't really agree with what you're saying there, Ross, about his commitment. I mean, I can excuse the lack of quality to an extent if he showed more commitment, enthusiasm, but I don't think he's even showing that at times. He lost the ball numerous occasions today. He's just jogging back, lethargic run back, out of possession.
But I think that's because he's slow and not fit. I don't think that's. I just think he's not quick enough. I think he can't get around the pitch. That's what I think.
So are we just saying now his lack of quality in this sort of level is showing?
I don't believe. Well, he's basically what I'd want to be. Playing for my boyhood team. I don't believe that you. I just think sometimes he looks really leggy. I just think he just can't get around the pitch. Do you know what I mean? I like to believe that it's not a lack of commitment. This is his team. I just think maybe you're right. Maybe the lack of quality at times, especially off the ball. I think he just gets bypassed too easily, and he just looks like he's almost hanging off the back of their shirts. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I understand what you're saying. I do understand what you're saying.
I think it's just with Hamer and O'Hare, they're naturally busy players. Even Allen, they do. And I think with Shipley, I think it's maybe the perception that he's not as busy. I think it's the same with Sheaf. People have a perception about Sheaf, and I think Sheaf does a lot of good stuff and unseen work. And I think him alongside James will probably give us that base we need while Kelly's out. And then I think it's the conundrum for Robbins is how he gets the attacking three players, what combination he comes together with to get us enough goals. Does he play Hamer and O'Hare off Max, or does he push somebody up front alongside Max like O'Hare or Papaga? and just see how that goes. But he needs to find somebody he's going to play up front, because I doubt we're going to get a striker in unless we.
There has to be movement out before movement
Yeah.
comes in. It seems like from this point.
Yeah, I just think I don't know who you're really gonna get, because you don't really want to be getting a loan, because that's going to cause an issue with the players we've got. Is there any free agents available? Probably not of any good standard. I wouldn't mind Dan Crowley, but then he's not a striker. So are you going to push O'Hare a bit further forward and play him alongside Max? And at least you've got the work rate of them working together as a nice pair. But then O'Hare, he's got to upgrade up his finishing ability and take his chances.
I think we've got too many players who sometimes, when the tempo of a game goes up, they struggle to match it. And I think you make a good point, Glenn, about I think Allen, O'Hare, and Hamer, because they're quite small and they're quite they're a bit quicker. Do you know what I mean? They get around the pitch, so they do look like we know O'Hare works really hard, and I completely agree. I just think Shipley just struggles to get around the pitch. Do you know what I mean? To even be able to, that challenge last week when for the red card, O'Hare bombing over, winning the ball back, getting fouled. I agree. I don't think you ever seen Shipley or whatever doing that. I just don't think he can get there. I just don't think he's got that the pace. And I feel like when we're controlling dictating the tempo, I think that Shipley can be good. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've been very critical of him. And I think on the ball, I think today the game did pass him by, and it is frustrating, really frustrating. I'm just not sure whether we are going to get a striker in, from what Robin says. I mean, it sounds like it will be more attacking midfielders and trying to get goals. I mean, I just feel like we need some players around Biamu in the box. So if he does something, causes some trouble, a loose ball might fall for O'Hare or Crowley or whoever it might be. I mean, I don't know. It's a tough one to know what we're going to do, really.
I'm just looking at the heat maps now. Really, it's only O'Hare and Biamu that were in the box today at any point together.
Which is not good enough, is it?
It's not, no, especially when, we commit to using the wing backs as much as we do. You're going to utilise crosses at some point, and we just don't get enough bodies in the box.
So then you think of all the players. Yeah. So if it's only Biamu and O'Hare ever at the same time, then you've got. I mean, what are, like, to me, that, and I will be critical, that is where the other Cam, which is Shipley in that box, has to be in there, surely, as well. Because then, even if it gets cleared, you'd like to think that you've got Hamer and Sheaf on the edge of the box. It's not good enough. It's like we said, for most of the time, I guess it was just Biamu in the box as well, which is even worse,
Glenn, looking forward, does this dent the confidence going into that Sheffield Wednesday game? Or is it just one of those a throwaway
I think
game?
it's a throwaway, but I think it's a shame, because, like you said, it was an opportunity to give people minutes, which could come back to bite us later on in the season if we have problems or injuries and stuff. It would have been a chance to give Blaine Rowe a go, maybe, pass, maybe give him a run out, give Hilsner a go. We might have to. If Castaneda doesn't go, we might need to give him a go. I just think it was, and the subs were probably just a bit flat. He could have easily gone to a back four and just had a bit of more of a go than he did. But now I think Sheffield Wednesday's massive. I just think it's another.
We kind of owe them one as well, don't we? We owe them one.
We owe them one, and it could be a case like Millwall. We could be playing them at the right time with the COVID outbreak. But then there's no guarantee that they have a bit of form. But I just worry. I think some of the other teams around us, like QPR, are getting Charlie Austin in, so they're going to get goals, whereas we're relying on Max and Baka till for another month, when we probably need a striker in, unfortunately.
Absolutely. Glenn, thanks again for joining us on SkyBluesExtra. Hopefully you have a good week, and we'll see you next week. Again, after the Sheffield Wednesday game. Ross, obviously Da Costa got a lot of stick in that first half, if you looked at Twitter.
I try to avoid it, to be honest.
He did look off the pace, maybe lacking a little bit of fitness and obviously game sharpness. And personally, I thought his positioning was pretty poor at times. He was too far ahead of the play at times, And I'm not too sure if he was told to play in a more advanced role. Naturally, if that happens, both wing backs would do that. But, Giles was held back a little bit. But we have to be more. He had to be more disciplined, didn't it? And I suppose he showed that the longer the game went on.
Yeah, I thought. I agree. I mean, there was a couple of times I think it was 2-0, and then he had the ball and he played a terrible pass across, and there was a couple of things where he was a bit kamikaze. He was a bit sort of. I agree, wandering around, but he certainly looks committed. Do you know what I mean? He certainly looks like he's got actually. We talk about like some players looking like they're stuck in the mud. Really, he actually looks like he's got a bit of energy, and I felt like second half he grew. And Glenn made a really good point that actually some players, like we've said, how they start just sets the tone. But actually, I thought his second half, I thought he did all right. I think overall, I'd sort of say he's got, what did he get, 90 minutes, didn't he? He didn't get
that's a really, really positive, isn't it? That's a full game he's played there.
And look, we all knew, and obviously it was a shame he was injured at the start of the season because obviously he would have started because Dabo's injury. But we all know that Dabo's the number one right wing back. So I feel like, if he can improve defensively, I just almost felt like that side, him and Ostergaard you could tell they hadn't played together.
Yeah.
There was just, I mean, where was he for the second goal? Ostergaard's at right back, and I have no idea where he was. It's crazy. But
yeah, the second goal, I think we were pushing with the ball, and we lost the ball, and he was just obviously caught completely out of position. But then the goal, Ostergaard stands off the guy. I sent some pictures into our group WhatsApp. That guy who was attacking had 20 yards of space to run into, and Ostergaard didn't put a single challenge in that 20 yards, and then let him just put a ball into the box, stood off him 5 yards.
And that's surprising for Ostergaard. Normally he's someone, if anything, sometimes you think, don't fly in. Do you know what I mean? Like normally he flies into challenges. Yeah. So it was sort of to let, and what I'm saying is, and look, I think we said it before we started, we don't get that luxury. No. We have it on the wing, and I tell you, O'Hare's just battered and bruised. Never do we get to just stroll up 30 yards, and like Giles had it. There's a guy tight to him, all the time, and you just think, why do we make it so easy for these teams?
I mean, Norwich looked so comfortable, didn't they? At times today, they were always positive. They were never forced into losing the ball, giving it like needlessly away. A sign, perhaps, of a team that's so far ahead of us in terms of quality, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, look at the players. They just got relegated from the Premier League. Parachute payments. I mean, I'd be concerned if I was a Norwich fan if it didn't look like we were miles ahead.
Yeah.
Like if any, I don't feel like we were in League One last year. They were in the Premier League. They've got all these players being chased by Barcelona amongst others. Yeah, I feel like it's what you expect, But I feel like I don't know what you think, Dino, but I feel like today it was a bit reminiscent earlier in the season where we had no ideas. We'd give it to Da Costa, say, and there's just no movement. He's literally got Biyamu and then maybe O'Hare running, and it's like there's 6 yellow shirts and we've got 2 sky blue shirts. I don't know how we expect to score, and that's why we changed it, didn't we? After the international break, we sort of then changed it, and we played 4-3-3 against Cardiff and that. And it just shook it up a little bit. And then obviously in recent games, we've gone back to the wing-backs and they've been a lot more involved. Maybe it's as simple as the fact that it wasn't Dabo and McCallum. I don't know. But
I feel like they've been told to obviously play this way of, get the ball out of the defence into someone in the midfield, utilise the wing-backs, and then the 2 midfielders can push on and try and get small triangles. But when that doesn't work or those opportunities don't arise, there is nothing else. They're just void of any idea. And if it's a situation where a wing-back is one-on-one on the halfway line, they don't know what to do. The ball just goes back and there's no intent of pushing forward or someone running into a space or creating something. And that's something last season I think we did in bucket loads. Even if Dabo and McCallum last year were isolated on the halfway line, there was players looking for the ball. There was Walsh there was Kelly there, and they were creating smaller triangles to get out of that space and create more space further up the pitch. But this season we just seem to be null of any of those ideas, and I don't know if that's down to personnel who's involved with the team. I don't know, but we need to find a different way of playing at times.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the problem sometimes is you had Sheaf and Hamer sort of sitting there. And it just felt like you just got O'Hare running around a bit like a headless chicken at times because they've literally got about 5 yellow shirts and they just ping it around and then it just goes to the question again. It's like, well, who's the other cat? It's like we're down to 10 men because I just can't. And when we've got the ball, the gap between O'Hare and Shipley just seems so big.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, how... I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, I felt like last year you'd have Godden, say, or the striker, and there's been other times this season where actually Shipley and O'Hare are sort of interchanging with the striker, and then it looks like you've got a fluid sort of attack. It just we didn't have any of that today, and ultimately, it's probably surprising that we created as many clear-cut chances that we did. Probably.
I think that's down to Norwich taking their foot off the gas, though. And letting us into some opportunities at points during the game. We've got another guest ready to come on. Ken's going to join us. Afternoon, Ken. You must be thoroughly disappointed with that.
Yeah, very disappointed, mate. I thought we limped out of the cup, to be honest. Didn't do enough to win the game. When really Norwich was probably there for the taking with the team they put out. I just don't think we offered enough to win the game, to be honest. When we were 2-0 down, we should have really changed it. We got more bodies in the box, maybe gone 2 up front. But the game just petered out, didn't it, in the end? And really very disappointing, I thought.
Do you think if we scored in that first 3 minutes, the game would have been completely different?
Yeah, I think so. Because I think it would have been different because that would have given us confidence. Yeah. And Norwich would have probably have to come out of a little bit more. There'd been more gaps in the team to create chances. So, but when they went 2-0, it was going to be very, very difficult to get back in the game unless we changed it. And we never really changed it, did we, until the last 5-10 minutes. It was too late. And we just didn't get enough bodies in the box. We created chances. We had a few shots on goal, but did we really look like we were going to win the game? I don't think we did, to be honest.
No, I don't know if you were listening, but there was only O'Hare and Biamu in the box when any cross went in from Giles, which is thoroughly disappointing. There's just not enough men in there to create opportunities.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, just not enough bodies in the box. And whether Robin thought, well, maybe 2-0 down, we're out and that's it, and sort of leave it as it is, or whether I don't know. I don't know what he was thinking, but I just thought he left his substitutes a bit too late. Norwich used all their subs. They made a few changes, didn't they? They had a strong bench. With the players
a strong team, to be fair.
Yeah, they did, and they brought on even stronger players. We left far too late to bring on any substitutes to change any impact in the game, which we should have had. And it's a cup match. You've got to go for it, haven't you? You've got nothing to lose. You're 2-0 down. I just felt we were a little bit too easy.
Well, exactly. I thought we might make some changes at half time. I thought maybe it would just change it up because after the first half was pretty drab, wasn't it? After we
couldn't get much worse, could it?
No, exactly. And I thought we might change it up a bit, and so I was surprised that we kept the same sort of the same team for the second half for as long as we did, really. And maybe Ken, like you say, maybe he took Biamu off and didn't go 2 up top because he doesn't want to risk getting another person injured ahead of next week, or maybe he was resigned to going out at that point. I don't know, but as a fan, you don't want to give up, do you? Do you know what I mean? Because one goal would have made it an exciting couple of minutes. Yeah,
that next goal, the third goal would have. That's the big decider, isn't it? The third goal, you're back in the game to get 3-1. Just never come. And as you said, he may have been thinking like bringing Max off because he didn't want to get any injuries, and you can see where he's going to there because he's got enough injuries as it is. And I suppose with Godden and Walker out at the moment, you don't want to have any more attacking options on the sideline. So, you can see what he's probably thinking. But at the same time, it's a cup run. We wanted the money in the bank, try and get it. I just felt we could have probably done a little bit more in that game to win it, or perhaps, at least score a goal.
What positives are you taking from today?
If
you've got any at all.
Well, I suppose the good thing is he gave some players like the Costa chances to get game time. He gave the ball away. You could tell he was a little bit rusty at first, but he did give the ball away a bit. Only time will tell what sort of player he's going to be in the next few months or so, because we haven't seen much of him. So there's not really many positives, to be honest, because when you go out the cup, you're always disappointed. But the only other good thing is that we did play a decent side. We played Norwich, and they're top of the league, and nobody expected us to go down and win it, apart from Coventry fans, I suppose. But as you know, cup matches, anything can happen. So, but we go back to the league, and then obviously points are there to be taken the next time we play them, and so just disappointing. But don't really have any positives today, to be
Ken,
honest.
do you think Matty James? Do you put him straight in for the next game? Do you think he's the starter? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, because he is a Liam Kelly type player who we need. He's an older type player who can add the experience for the youngsters. I think he should start with starting the next game, definitely without shadow of a doubt, because we're missing Kelly, there's no doubt about that. He's the experienced head in the side, and he can dictate play from the back, and he can, probably cut out silly mistakes. And I was very surprised he never started him today, to be honest, so I thought he might have started him today, but he never. And but I'll definitely have him in the side for the next game, especially while Kelly's out injured.
And who does he come in replace of, or do you change the system?
I'll be tempted to change the system. But it all depends on who you're playing, doesn't it? I suppose he tends to do that depending on who we're playing. But I would possibly bring him in at the expense of Sheaf at the moment, and then take it from there. And then obviously, if he doesn't last the whole match, which there is question marks, I think, about his fitness at times. So I'm hearing he doesn't tend to last the whole matches. So maybe bring Sheaf on when he's getting a bit tired.
Absolutely. Ken, thanks very much for joining us
Ken.
on SkyBluesExtra Live, and hopefully we'll chat to you
problem.
soon. Cheers. So, obviously, Matty James is a huge signing this week that's happened. A really, really big statement of intent as well, with him potentially being with us past this season because he's out of contract in the summer. What do you make of that signing, Ross?
Yeah, no, to be fair, I was quite surprised because all the talk had been about an attacking midfielder. Yeah. So I'd but no, I think great signing. It's exactly what we need, with Kelly out, and it is no coincidence. I know we won last week without Kelly, but it's no coincidence that we're just so much more solid. I feel with Kelly in that team, someone who can talk, and I think Sheaf's a better player when he's got someone talking to him.
100%.
So I feel that sometimes there's just no, I don't look at Hamer, and I was looking at it today and I thought, who's the person talking? Like, who's the person sort of just talking to Hamer? And I feel like I agree. I think he has to go straight in, and I think, it made me wonder whether, because our joint top scorer is Hamer, the man who said, "Don't expect me to score any goals." It's amazing that we're 16th, but when our top scorer is someone who literally says, "I don't score goals."
Yeah.
But it made me wonder whether whether Hamer could be put as in that box with O'Hare, because I feel like having James, Sheaf, O'Hare, Hamer, and Biamu. Hamer gets around the pitch. O'Hare gets around the pitch. I feel like those two pressing, but Hamer knowing that he's got that defensive solidity behind him might allow him to be even more expressive than he already is. I don't know what you think. Maybe I'm just making stuff up. But
I think if you put Hamer, you take away his passing ability. That's the only thing. That's the only question mark. Sort of a person in the middle of the park who can create stuff. I would bring James straight in with Sheaf there in the middle of the park, and I'd play Hamer just ahead of them both. Then I'd play O'Hare off whoever's up front. If you're going to play Biamu or Bakayoko, I'd play him just off that central striker, because he's busy enough to get across the whole side of the pitch. That's fine, but then you don't lose Hamer's ability to pick a pass, because there will be at times where James and Sheaf will get ahead of Hamer in the play, and then you've got Hamer's ability then to pick a pass out. So I think that might be the way forward, and I think that's a system we played really well when Kelly and Sheaf played together. But then again, you're second guessing Mark Robbins, who changes things up for the sake of it. We all thought he was going to make a ton of changes today, and pretty much kept 10 of the first team in the team. So. It's difficult to predict what he's going to do, but there's options there. What Matty James does now is give us options to look ahead and try different things.
Yeah, 100%, and I think that's it adds us. It means that actually people like Alan don't have to be relied on to be the defensive midfielder, which I just don't think is his strength. I think he's better off being that sort of busier player, and hopefully he'll come in, James, and he'll be able to just dictate play a bit. He'll want the ball, be calm on the ball. That's the one thing Kelly does so well. He never looks rushed. Do you know what I mean? He always, and I was hearing Barnsley fans saying that, James is someone, he just looks like he's got an extra couple of seconds than anybody else. So hopefully he'll just slot straight in and, be a great addition for the team.
I mean, look, I'm just looking at Matty James's performance there today. 15 touches, 13 of them with positive intent. So that shows you the type of player he is. He wants to get the ball forward, and let the attacking players do what they need to do at the top of the pitch. And Nige brings a good point up here. If we have O'Hare further up the pitch, he's the most foul player in the championship. It could bring us, penalties, more, free kicks in and around the box, playing off that central striker. So that's a potential.
Yeah. One thing that frustrates me about that though is the amount of time he gets fouled, and it's like, where are these people supporting him? Like literally, a foul is the only thing he could hope to get, because he's got no one up with him. And I'm screaming at the TV thinking, where is everybody? Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, literally, he wins a foul and you go, fair play, O'Hare. He had nothing else on there. And he just got crowded out. And you think, he's done well to win us a set piece. But where if he didn't get fouled, how do we expect to score from there unless he dribbles past everyone and scores?
Yeah.
It's frustrating at times.
I think we kind of rely on him too much to do everything. And that's where if he's further up the pitch, he's not so isolated to do everything on his own at the top end.
I agree. So. I'd have him shadow striker, Football Manager, playing him. Hey, Football Manager thinks O'Hare would be really good up top, so maybe we try it, give it a go.
Absolutely. Right, well, we'll start to wrap things up, and we'll just quickly look ahead to obviously our next matches. We've got a string of 4 matches against, opposition that, are struggling down the bottom end of the table. The likes of Sheffield Wednesday, Forest, Birmingham and Reading in between that. Our first match, obviously, is against Sheffield Wednesday a week today. It's kind of a revenge mission, isn't it, from the other week?
Yeah, it's a big game. It's massive. Listen, today will all be forgotten if we win next week. It is a massive game. We're at home. We've had a full week. After that jam-packed schedule. So I've had a full week this week, a full week from now till next Saturday. Yeah, it is a revenge mission, and we just have to make sure we take the game to them and be ruthless and take our chances. Because that was the sort of game which you could literally just see unraveling in front of your eyes.
Yeah.
And we all knew, didn't we? We were all saying on the SkyBluesExtra chat, we all know what's coming. We all knew 1-0 set piece. And it's almost just like you can do nothing about it because we didn't take our chances. But big game. Actually, like you said, January is massive. Actually, January we need to get 6 points. I think from the next couple.
And we've got the perfect opportunity to bounce back next week. And as you say, all will be forgotten. I mean, to be honest, they probably all forgot about today's performance already. It's not one to obviously put in the record books, that's for sure. But we'll look ahead with positive intent to Sheffield Wednesday, and hopefully we'll get a good result. Fingers crossed. Ross, thanks for joining me.
Cheers.
Thank you to all the viewers. Thanks for your comments today. We'll be back next week. Potentially we might do a watch along again next week, since CWR can't get into the stadium and we're back on iFollow, so there'll be no commentary. So fingers crossed we'll get a watch along going. If not, we'll be back for Sky Blues Extra Live. In the meantime, stay safe and play up Sky Blues.